MyFantasySportsTalk.com.
You're listening to and watching My Fantasy Podcast from MyFantasySportsTalk.com. Brandon Reed, Cowboy Lover Dan Schalk there, Cowboy Lover Orlando Torres right there. Let's get into it. The news broke that Tony Romo is going to hang it up. I guess he's not getting the offers. I don't know, but maybe he has a desire to be in the booth, but he's going to be in the CBS booth calling professional football. So the biggest question to me, Dan, is the arenas he goes to, how many steps is it? And are they going to have handicap accessible entries to Tony Romo's booth position?
You're starting off in such a negative light.
I'm looking out for him. I know his history. I'm looking out for him.
Well, luckily they have elevators in these facilities, so
big enough to get like big wheelchairs in. I mean, Tony Romo ain't a small guy. He's going to have a decent sized wheelchair,
He looked pretty good in the picture with his CBS jacket, standing upright.
So good. You changed it to your profile pic, huh? So good.
Yeah, that is true. In regards to it, I respect his decision. You got to give props to him. He's looking ahead. He wants to be a father to his children and wants to see them grow and actually not in a wheelchair. So, I give him props to that. He is a family type man. So, he's looking out for his family in that sense. He has some learning to do. He's friends with Jim Nantz, so I think that has a part to do with it. And I think the other thing is that we also should be applauding him for is he got Phil Simms out of the booth, and I can't stand Phil Simms. So
yeah, you've said that more than one time.
More props to that. So I was saddened when I heard the news, but to find out he's replacing who I think is the worst announcer in calling NFL games, glad to see Phil Simms go.
So what did happen? Okay, because he did receive his official release from the Cowboys. So what exactly happened with the football side of it, the football situation of it? I mean, Houston wasn't biting? Are you telling me Houston wasn't biting? Buffalo wasn't biting? Denver wasn't biting? The Jets weren't biting?
I think they may have. They didn't want to give up any draft picks for him because not only are you trading for Tony Romo, but you're trading for that contract. I think that's
now he's free agent. Now he's free agent, right? He was released.
Right.
By the Cowboys.
And the reason the Cowboys released him is so Tony Romo gets to recoup and keep all of his bonus money. If he retired, he would have had to owe that back. So the Cowboys did him a favor and
if he's truly done, he can retire a Cowboy, and maybe they'll come back and have some kind of big ceremony and everything like that. But you don't believe he's done with football, though.
I think he is. I think he's done. I think if some circumstances come about where Dak goes down and the Cowboys are either close to the playoffs or locked up a playoff berth, I can definitely see Tony making an appearance and showing up the haters that he has. So I think it's possible, but it's not probable.
Tony Romo and haters, man. He's such a good guy, man. How can Tony Romo have haters? Anyway, let's get Orlando's take on it. What do you think, Orlando? Were you shocked by it? You don't think there's teams out there that really Tony Romo should be starting for going into next season? And do you think he is done?
I don't think he's done. I just have that. Even in his interview, I don't know if he said everything that was right, but he said something similar. He said 99% wants to be in the booth, but never say never. Don't count out that 1%. He said something similar with that. I don't think he's done. And here, I guess down here, a lot of us Cowboys fans feel like the Cowboys did him dirty. I feel like Jerry Jones couldn't stomach the fact that Bill O'Brien was already studying film of Romo, was already looking ahead to getting Romo on the roster next season. And I feel, I know, Cowboys, Jerry Young, $5 million to walk out. I feel like he did whatever he could to prevent Romo from going to another team in a way, or with the trade picks too. Obviously, it didn't work out. I know Jerry really wanted to to see Romo win a championship. We all did. I wanted that when I first see him. I really do like the guy, and I personally feel like the Cowboys. I mean, they might have did him a favor, but I do feel like they did him dirty. I think, and it felt in a way they did whatever they could to prevent him from playing for another team. I think they did want him to come back as a mentor to Dak or as a backup. But again, being here in Texas, there's a huge rivalry. Even though the AFC is just another conference, there's a huge rivalry between the Texans and Cowboys with fans too. And it's like that in basketball too, but football gets pretty dirty. And I don't think Jerry could just stomach the fact of Romo going to Texans and leading them to success and not knowing what they could get out of Dak in his second year, especially seeing their some of their defense take a hit. I mean, look, if Romo would have been playing this year in the divisional game and they would have lost, it would have been the same thing. Romo's a choker. Romo lost the game. And clearly, Dak didn't lose that game, right? I mean, Dak did a hell of a job in the second half. Zeke got it going together. Des Bryant came alive in the second half with those 2 touchdowns. At the end of the day, it came down on defense. But if that was Romo, and Romo, we're trying to play hero in the second half, and it came up failing short. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of negativity will be on Romo yet again, and that's some of the pressure he's faced his whole career. I mean, going into another team, I think it would have been the same thing. A whole lot of pressure on Romo, whether he would have got a call from Kansas City, Houston, Denver, especially he's going to be 38. The hits that he can't take the hits he used to take no more. So, I don't feel like broadcasting. There's a big chance that it does happen, but there's a small chance to say that it's not over. I think I would hate to wait all the way June 1st for Romo because, at his age, I think he needs to get a team as soon as possible if he does have the desire to play football. But even with CBS just hiring Romo, it seems a bit odd how they just hire a guy who's pretty much not qualified for the job. And that's not a knock on Romo. It's really not. But it just, I don't know. Just hearing the news this morning was a shock. And then Romo's released, and all of a sudden, he's just focused on broadcasting. It doesn't make sense to me. I think there are some talks behind private talks, and I think when Romo's fully released from the Cowboys, I think he's gonna make another turn towards football because I do feel like in a way the Cowboys are preventing him from playing with another team.
Well, okay, 2 things you just said that I like. Well, one of them is I'm not sure the relationship with Jerry Jones. I think a lot of what you said is true. I think Jerry Jones saw Tony Romo as almost like a son. He protected him in so many ways. Tony Romo took a lot of heat, not from just haters. Now, over the years, Tony Romo has taken a lot of heat for the last decade or so for different things, choking, his health, things such as that, getting big contracts and maybe not really being worth it at that stage in his career. But Jerry Jones protected him the whole way. I think Jerry Jones probably does want him retiring as a Cowboy. So what conversation did they have to say, I would like it to go down like this. We'll see if teams bite, teams not biting. You've got a job offer here. Let's do that. Let's move on. Can you up here get over football and move on from football? Tough thing to do. Number 2, what you just said is I 100% agree with you, and I was thinking the same thing. What qualifications does he have other than just being an NFL quarterback? He's always been kind of a quiet, reserved guy, right? Not a personality to be in a sports broadcasting booth. You want my honest opinion? I'm not convinced he's going to be very good at that. You could talk about Troy Aikman and how good he is at it. I don't know. But like I said, I think even Troy Aikman had more of a personality than Tony Romo. We'll see. Tony Romo has a great smile. Great guy, and I've always liked him personally, but I don't see him as the personality in the booth. So, relationship was it with Jerry Jones, and to come to this conclusion? And do you think he's, be honest? Do you think he is really cut out for the personality wise to be in the broadcasting booth?
It was a bit of a shock that they gave him the job over Peyton Manning, because I know Peyton Manning's a name gets brought up a lot. I know.
I think Peyton's looking for some ownership role though. But
CBS has brought up his name quite a bit as well for broadcasting a job. But I'm not ruling that out. I think Romo, eventually he'll be good at broadcasting. broadcasting.
We'll see. Just not sure he really deserved the role. Dan, you go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's going to do great.
Surprise.
Well, I mean, I've seen him in, those DirecTV commercials. I think he's hilarious. He's got some comedic value, and at the same time, he knows football. So as long as you can convey that to the audience, and this is also why it happened now, is so he can get into training. CBS is going to be training him basically nonstop until football season starts now. He's going to be doing simulated games starting as soon as next week. So he's definitely going to be getting his work. He's getting full course training with it, and he also signed a contract. So that's the other reason. Not saying there's not an out clause in the contract, but that's what leads me to be done. I mean, he's going full force into this. CBS is committed to him and behind him, and one of his best friends, Jim Nantz, is in the booth with him.
Okay, we'll see. That's up for debate. We'll see how I don't think he's going to fall flat on his face. I think he'll be prepared, but I'm kind of like Orlando said. What qualifications? I mean, I don't know. It's a hot name, I think. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be great in the booth, or would have been my first, second, third, fifth, or sixth choice for the job. Better than Phil Simms, maybe. I'm right there with you. But what about the relationship, the other aspect of that with Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones kind of seeing him as a son and protecting him this whole time? What happened with that relationship, and where do they stand right now, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the relationship definitely got strained over the course of the last 18 months or so. Just with the injuries and not being able to play, but you're not. There's a bond there that's not going to be broken completely through this. I think Jerry definitely got what he wanted out of this. He wanted Romo to retire, not go to another team. That's without a doubt in my mind. But if there was truly another team out there like the Houston Texans that were willing to sign him, and Romo wanted to play for them, and it would have happened. The Texans can technically sign him to a deal and make it effective June 2nd. So I don't think that they were as active in it as I thought they were. I thought the Texans would sign up for Romo in a heartbeat. But I think Bill O'Brien is egotistical enough, just like Bill Belichick, where he's like, I'm going to show that I can win with who I want, and I don't need Romo to do it. I have Tom Savage. So here I am. So, it's I don't think the suitors were there that Romo thought. I think he thought.
I think the suitors were there. I think I feel like a lot of it had to do with Jerry Jones as well. Just
but
not
they
letting
can still sign him right now. Like there's nothing stopping them.
He's been released. He is no longer part of the Cowboys. He was officially released.
Yeah. Again, it's just news, so I'm not ruling out a comeback. Again, I'm not going to rule out his performance if he joins. But again, just the way the news happened, it just seemed a bit odd the way it happened. So again, I'm not ruling out that Romo won't be in a broadcasting booth when the season happens. It just feels like not even that long ago he desired. He was a competitor. He wants to win. He wants to play football. And then like the next day, he's fully committed to CBS. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I think he's always had broadcasting in the back of his mind, and this is atypical. I mean, you don't see a major network like this offer your number one spot right away, and I mean it's not a quarterback contract in the NFL, but he's probably getting paid millions just to call football games, and it gives him time for his family. So I think ultimately he's like, maybe I have 1 to 2 years left. I could win a Super Bowl. I could also get hurt again, and I won't be able to watch my kids grow up. So I think he definitely took family into account, but it was also this opportunity. I've never seen a network go after a guy immediately, not even in retirement yet. But I mean, they coaxed him into it fully, whether he was going to play or not. So I think it was something where he couldn't pass up. And, I think Peyton Manning, just talking about him briefly, I think he does want an ownership role, but if he wanted to be a broadcaster, he could say, okay, I'm going to be a broadcaster now, and all of the networks would immediately jump at him. So if Tony thought Peyton might be doing that, sometime soon, his job offer, a team would take Peyton Manning over Tony Romo in a heartbeat, a network, a football team, any of them. So it doesn't really matter there. So I think it was just, this is the time I have to make that decision, because this opportunity won't be here forever.
It's definitely the best gig for the upper echelon guys in sports to go into the broadcasting booth, because it will pay you close to what you're making as opposed to going and selling cars or insurance. And it allows you to hang around the game and still be part of the game, and it's what you love, it's what you know. So I'm not really surprised that he was a name on their list. There's been a lot of guys. And the name escapes me. Who is the DB that's on the NBC show now on the Sunday night show?
Rodney Harrison.
Yes, Rodney Harrison. Rodney Harrison got a job right out of football too, and a lot of guys are. And so I don't know. I think it makes sense as far as if he's crossed that road mentally. That's the thing. If he really has given up football, and like you said, wanting to be the family man, still have that free time, but still make possibly multi-million dollars. I'm not sure how much the contract would be. I would say it'd be at least $2 million, especially with a network like CBS. Then I think that's a good fit for him, and I think he'll work out the things maybe in the booth with time. I have no problem with that, because I mean, how many concussions has Troy Aikman had? He had to walk away from the game because of concussions, and you put him in the booth where he has to think and react and talk like that. So I think he'll be okay there. But so let's just say Tony Romo, he is done with football. He's going to be the new voice in the booth for CBS for some time. The next question is, and this is what I've been looking forward to, is where does he rank among quarterbacks? I'm on the camp that he has been somewhat overrated. His numbers are good. I went as far as on our message board to say mediocre. Maybe that was crossing a line. Maybe what I meant to say is irrelevant. For the past decade, he just hasn't meant anything when it comes to meaningful football games and playoff games. It just hasn't been there. Dan, I hope you're ready. I know you got quiet this afternoon, so I had a feeling you're probably making notes and stuff. But you see my page here? You see all that? You see all that writing? That's all notes telling you why Tony Romo is not the quarterback you think he is. Let me go to Orlando. Orlando, where do you rank Tony Romo? Is he surefire Hall of Famer? In the past decade, where do you rank him? You tell me how you feel about Romo, the player.
I won't go as far as say Hall of Famer right away, but I think it was when Romo played, top 10 surefire. I mean, really.
The whole time.
I think Romo was a top guy. I would put him in there. Top, Philip Rivers, Big Ben. Obviously, you're talking about some of the other quarterbacks that are playing in his time. Obviously, you're gonna have Brady and Manning as the top two, but Romo, I'm gonna have him as the top 10. The guy was a competitor, and again, just like what I alluded to earlier, I know there's times where he didn't come through in big games, or he didn't have he didn't make a lot of noise in the playoffs games, but football is a team game. I'm not taking away nothing from Tony Romo, but at the end of the time, I feel like Romo did whatever he could for his team. I know a lot of times either he's going to kill you or you're going to love him. And that's one thing we've learned about being Cowboys fans. And
that's the on-the-field stuff. That's not even talking about missed games. You're talking about on the field, you hate him or love him.
Yeah, I'm talking about, on the field. There's going to be games where you're going to hate him, and there's going to be games where you're going to love him. And his fan base down here, it's a little bit up and down too. There's people that hated him, and there's people that love him for what he was. There's people that tell you like, well, we didn't have Romo. You think of all the quarterbacks we had before, like Quincy Carter, Bledsoe, like it was a mess until Romo came in. So I think a lot of people, not just down here, but just Cowboys fans in general, people that follow him, respect Romo for what he did to the organization. So I will put him in the top 10. It's unfortunate his career had to end the way it did. But, just like Jerry said too, and regardless of what Jerry said, he's one of the best players in Cowboys history. I know he doesn't have the rings to back it up, but I would say Romo's he's up there when it comes to quarterbacks.
Well, I really can appreciate what you said as far as the instability with Quincy Carter and all the other quarterbacks that came after Troy Aikman, that you finally got that guy that you could call your leader. You're for sure guy. You ain't worried about switching quarterbacks every year or a few times a year like the Cleveland Browns have, or even Buffalo, New York Jets, whoever, going through quarterback changes. That you finally did have that guy. But I alluded to in the open, of one thing that also really made me mad about this news breaking on Tuesday is that North Carolina did win the college basketball championship, and every media outlet talked about all day long yesterday was Tony Romo. Okay. That I don't know that was warranted. I understand how good of a player and where he ranks, and it's the Dallas Cowboys that Tony Romo fit. I understand that, but not coming off the day after a college championship was won. I don't think Tony Romo is that relevant to me, so that kind of bugged me a little bit. And then me and Dan were going back and forth, so Dan threw some obscure stat out there that said like he had more fourth quarter comeback wins since like 2014. But I got to looking, Dan, he's only played 5 games since 2014. He's only been in the playoffs once in the last 7 years. How is this guy relevant anymore?
I think you might want to check some of that. Well, I mean, you're looking at, so within the past 2 years, anything that you say is irrelevant. Within the last 2 years, anything that you say about Tony Romo's career is irrelevant. If you have to look until 2014. So in his prime, Tony Romo is 100% a top 10 quarterback. I would say he's even a top 5 quarterback. In his prime, when he is playing, he is one of the best quarterbacks to ever suit up. I mean, and the numbers back that up. Now, yes, you're going to bring up these past 2 years consistently, and that's great, but it doesn't impact what Romo was able to accomplish in his career.
But it's where we're at today. This is where we're at today.
Now, so now that he is retired, you look back at his whole career. So if you look back at it, to me, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a Dallas Cowboy record holder in yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, different things like that. So, I mean, without a doubt, he's a Hall of Famer. He's got the 5th best or 4th best quarterback rating of all time. I mean, I
think it may be 3rd, actually. 3rd or 4th.
Yeah. In the 4th quarter, you like to talk about his meltdowns. He has the best quarterback rating in the 4th quarter of any quarterback. And the next closest is Aaron Rodgers, and he's 5 points below him. So if you want to talk about his meltdowns, at the same time, he had all of these heroics that always get forgotten because of 1 or 2 meltdowns.
Okay, well, I also know this. When the team was fairly good and really more recently with that offensive line, including this past year, is when Tony Romo went down, a lot of people stepped in and they still kept winning games.
You had Dak Prescott, so you have a franchise quarterback that came in and stepped in. Look at every other time that he went down, and you didn't have that. It's only because you had the franchise quarterback that they were going to do that. I mean, the Cowboys teams that surrounded Tony Romo were not talented. They may have had 1 or 2 playmakers, mainly on offense, not really on defense. Besides DeMarcus Ware, but they didn't. Like I said, we were chatting the other day. In my mind, Tony Romo is the Russell Westbrook of the NBA right now. If you look at what Westbrook is doing with supposedly the non-talent around him, and he's putting up those numbers. That's what Tony Romo did.
Putting up numbers, but no playoff success. Nothing really happening there.
Right. Same thing with Russell Westbrook. He's going to be one and done this year.
But Tony Romo didn't do something that hadn't been done in 55 years. And we're not even talking about the same stat level here.
He did something in Cowboys history that's never been done, and he broke those records multiple times throughout his career, whether it be yards, touchdowns, completions, completion percentage. I think his completion percentage is 5th best all time in the NFL. So
it's nice. It's around 60. And as far as the quarterback rating, they haven't even really been keeping up with that very long. That's a somewhat new stat. That's just
I mean, his completion percentage is 65%. He's never had below 61% in his career.
I think he has.
Just at 60. At 60 is not. If you're going to come at me with these numbers, see, I got fact checkers. Des the Kitty is by a keyboard right now, looking all this stuff up that you're throwing out.
Des the Kitty's already got your back. He's like, child, please. He's like, Dak is the man. We about to win Super Bowls around here. I know what Des the Kitty is saying. Okay, so Dan says surefire Hall of Famer. Let me ask you this, Dan. Let's just talk about level of success and accolades for who has 4 or more Pro Bowls. Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, Michael Vick, Phillip Rivers. Michael Vick, of course, out of the league, but Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Let me tell you the list of guys who have 3 Pro Bowls.
First of all,
Andy
Pro
Dalton,
Bowls,
Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer.
Taylor made a Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl in the NFL is the least. You get if you want to talk about. If you want to talk about
or in your conference.
You have to mention all pros, which Tony Romo has been an all pro. Your boy Phillip Rivers has not.
Look, I know Pro Bowl usually boils down to the best 4 quarterbacks in the
17
conference.
quarterbacks drop out before those 4 quarterbacks come in. I mean, in a given year, those couple quarterbacks, you get 9 Pro Bowl quarterbacks in each conference. I mean, that's half the conference is making the Pro Bowl. So you can't really
the award is what it is, and I'm telling you, your boy Phillip Rivers, or my boy Phillip Rivers, has even 2 more than Romo.
Brought up Pro Bowl. Out of all those notes, that's what you have is Pro Bowls.
Yes, that's the stat this goes by. Okay, well, you reached really deep for pro. You reached really deep for quarterback rating percentage. Pro Bowls. It's the common stat everyone goes by when you look back at a career, a Hall of Fame career. Pro Bowls. Okay,
I've personally never looked at that stat. Well, I look at yards, completion percentage, touchdowns, different things like that. Even championships, which yes, Romo doesn't have, but I look at championships and all those before Pro Bowls. Like I said before, we can look at. I'm not even talking about championships. We got to make it. We got to make a long trip with a lot of gas in the car to even get to championships, dog. He ain't got but 1 playoff game in the last 7 years. Totally irrelevant. I'm almost talking about a decade here, and his total playoff record, this whole time, the whole being of Tony Romo is 2-4. Okay. Irrelevant. I ain't talking about regular seasons, okay? Dan Fouts, a Hall of Famer, his playoff record is 3-4. So, if we're talking about if he's a Hall of Famer or not, you can put about Warren Moon is in the Hall of Fame. He's 3-5 playoff record, never made it to a conference championship. So, I mean, there's quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame that didn't win championships or have that playoff type success that necessarily warrants whether you're a Hall of Famer or not.
They also weren't in the league 15 years like Romo either.
Warren Moon was in the league a lot longer than that. He played until he had a gray mustache. He's quit the Justin Manning.
He played a lot longer than he should have. I'll say that. Yeah. Well, we haven't heard from Orlando in a while. So as far as the ranking and the accolades and everything that me and Dan just talked about, follow it up, Orlando.
Yeah, no, I think over time, I think Romo will find his way to the Hall of Fame. I know there's a lot of discussion going back and forth. People saying why he shouldn't be, and people saying, okay, well, he's for what he's done in Dallas, he should be able to. He's in consideration to be taken into the Hall of Fame. So that's going to be a hot topic all the way until the decision is made. I know there's also been talks that, well, hey, Romo gets in, these other guys should get looks before Romo, or get in if Romo gets in. So, I will agree with
another stat right there. While you just mentioned that, he's 29th in yards passing right now, but this particular year, this coming year, he will be passed by Joe Flacco and Matthew Stafford as far as yards go. And if Jay Cutler happens to land on the team, Jay Cutler's going to pass him in yardage too.
Yeah. Well, I just think, I don't know, Romo, I think, for what he's, what is that, Pro Bowls? Okay. Yeah, but
my notes are impeccable, impregnable.
And this is going on a bit off topic, come on. If that ref would have never botched that call, Romo would be 3-4, maybe.
I'll give you that, guys. That would have been his NFC championship. I have no defense over that, and I'm still upset about that.
Yeah, so, I'm still trying to break it down. Again, I'm still on the fence about whether Romo's going to be on the broadcast booth. And if he is, then I may not even watch the Cowboys game this season because I'm going to be too busy watching the CBS broadcast booth to see Tony Romo. So,
oh my God.
So
you guys are crazy.
I'm still the way this news hit me. So I'm still trying to digest all of it again because I do feel I know a team would reach out to Romo, but again, a lot can happen between now and the season. So again, I know if Romo's age and if he gets a role to a team where he feels like he might have a chance, I think competitiveness in him might bite, and he wouldn't be able to do it this year, next year. It would have to be this year. So again, right now he's locked in as a CBS broadcaster, so that's what we're gonna go through. But I still have a small gut feeling that something might change between now and before the season starts.
All right. Well, We ain't gonna move on quite yet. One more thing, Dan. Why was Tony Romo sacked so damn much? He's had one of the best offensive lines for 5 or 6 years at least.
No, that's not accurate at all. He's had actually one of the worst offensive lines. They started to build this offensive line. I think they got
DeMarco Murray, which is 4 years ago going on.
No, that was 2014 is the only year DeMarco Murray had any success. And that was because of that offensive line. But if you go back to like 2011, 2012, 2013, 2010, even way before then, the Cowboys' offensive line was not good. They just started to build it recently, and that's why their offensive line right now is so good, so young, and still on a lot of their rookie contracts. They're starting to extend them now. But that just started. They started, building a piece at a time, and it didn't come together until that 2014 season.
Okay,
that's before that 2014 season.
30 times that year. He was sacked 30 times that year. You do the math, that's right at 2 sacks a game. That's fairly high.
I mean, that's fine with me. I mean, if you look at some of the other people who get sacked, Big Ben gets sacked a lot. Is he less of a player? And if you want to talk about durability, because you came at me, I mean, Big Ben has played in 16 games 3 times total in his career. So, you bring in that durability factor. Can you count on them? Can you count on Big Ben? I wouldn't.
I do, more so than Tony Romo. I honestly do. Here's just a good comparison, guys. Okay, and this is what if you're really into this argument or give a flip, I would say compare the careers of Phillip Rivers to Tony Romo, because they came in the league at the exact same time and starting for their teams at the exact same time. And like I said, 46,000 yards for Phillip Rivers, 6 Pro Bowls, 4 and 5 playoff record, 12th all-time in yards. So,
would you say the Chargers teams were more talented over the course of their career than the Cowboys?
Nope, because they played in the AFC. They went through a lot of. You had the Patriots, you had the Colts, you had the Broncos.
I'm not talking about who they played. I'm talking about talent. Do you think the Chargers teams were more talented than the Cowboys teams throughout their career, starting back in 2006?
You mentioned LT, and yeah, I agree with you. He's a stud running back, but there's a lot of teams that don't have success with just a stud running back. A lot of those years that they didn't have the offensive line. They had pieces. Okay, they had pieces.
Romo
really had great defense.
Romo has had 1 losing season in his career. Rivers has had 4. Rivers has led the league in interceptions 3 times. Romo never has. So, I mean, you want to compare their things. If you look the season statistically when they were each in their primes, it's only a short amount because, yes, Romo doesn't have these last few years. But if you look when they were in their primes, I'm taking Romo every time over Rivers.
It still all evens out. Touchdown to interception ratio, it all evens out. They're both of them right at 2-1, right at 2-1. So
2.7 to 1 for Romo. So I'm going to round up and give that a 3, where Rivers is 1.8. So I see how you do those rounding things.
Yeah, you're talking about minuscule amounts there. I'm talking about straight up averages.
0.7, 1.8.
The numbers you can Google the numbers. They're all right there for everybody. I don't think it matters. But you draw your own conclusions there. Man, how am I going to win this argument, guys, with 2 Cowboy lovers? One of them who has a dog named Romo. So I'm done. And we're going to take the Romo talk, and he's in the booth. He's in the CBS booth. So maybe this is his niche. Maybe he can stay healthy. They'll have the handicap accessible elevators. He can just ride to the top of the booth with his boy Jim Nantz and have a Hall of Fame broadcasting career. Let's answer mailbag questions next. For the full podcast, check us out on myfantasysportstalk.com, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud.